So the old 12 and the softball bat are headed my way. By the way, is there any difference between a softball bat and a baseball bat? Please let me know. And he wasn't kidding. Later that week when we had family over, her side of the family's over at the house, by the way, which means we have a bunch of hunters, DOC officers, and military personnel. Not people that are gonna take much crap. And Bob decides to get a 6-pack of beer, walk over to the property line, sit on a lawn chair, the property line of our front yard, by the way, and start cleaning a crossbow and a rifle. Old 12 wasn't out there. What? Yeah, cleaning weapons, drinking alcohol in clear view of us. I don't care how down south, don't take my guns away you are, that is wrong. That is a public form of threatening. Just this week, you said that you were going to bring your shotgun out to get a clear view of us. And now you're cleaning said weapon right in front of us? Whilst sipping on said alcohol? Hate to be that guy, but here come the cops. He is cleaning his weapons on our property line while drinking beer. My wife is clearly freaking out. But what made me freak out even more was when April, the 70-pound just glory of an older woman, walked out in a bikini top to pat him on the back of the head and congratulate him on being an awesome husband. They were just crazy. I don't know. So her uncle called the police while myself and my father-in-law went and stood in front of him on our side of the property. So with him on his side with his guns and me and him with nothing, we stood right in front of him. He made one glance up at us and then continued to clean his weapons. Both parties were quiet. We weren't acknowledging each other. Until I said, "Why are you cleaning your guns on our property line?" You know, kind of the elephant in the room. And his reply, "It's my property." "Yeah, so are the other 2 acres, dipwad." "I like this spot." So me and her dad decided we like this spot too. We are in an Old West standoff. I ain't moving if you ain't moving. I didn't say that. But my father-in-law is standing there watching this man clean his weapons on our property line. Yes, he has a legal right to do so, but he's also drinking alcohol. That should not be legal. Alcohol impairment and weapons do not go together. Unless it's one weapon. You know what I'm saying, boys? But my father-in-law stood there on our side of the property line just waiting because we're going to wait this dude out. We weren't going to cave first. And my father-in-law, an intimidating dude. He's a solid 5'7" and probably 250. He's a big dude. And he's got eye contact that'll make you rethink your whole life. Rethink your whole life. And that's my father-in-law. But regardless, we ain't moving if he ain't moving. Like seriously, how does day drinking your 6-pack of Miller Lite while loading your bolt-action rifle have anything to do with safety? But if he wasn't caving, we wasn't caving. And we stood there. Why, my uncle called the cops. What did the cops say? So the cops have been called. And the cops say, we're not coming. They have every legal right to clean their guns on your property line. Yeah, but they're allowed to drink beer while they're doing it? Yep. What if they threatened to shoot us with their old 12 from a high vantage point just a week prior? Yeah, we don't care. And alcohol doesn't have any effect on that? Nope, he can drink as much as he likes. As much as he likes. Is he on his property? Well, yeah. Then we don't want to come. Death threats, loaded weapons, and alcohol. Who cares? Yeah, wasn't too happy about the PD just being like, well, technically they can do that. Well, technically understand that these people are certifiably insane. But we stand there and stand there and stand there until finally he gets up and leaves. Doesn't say anything. He just must have been bored. And the next morning, they had a for sale by owner sign in their front yard. They're moving! And I'm a realtor. So I'm like, what if I could find the buyer? And then I got to be at the closing, and they had to pay me! There's a for sale by owner sign in the front yard! Get up, out the house. Let's sell it, get you out the house. I am elated. I was gonna run an ad on their house. They didn't have to pay me anything. I'm gonna find a buyer, show up at closing, and I was gonna be like, hey, I'm representing the buyer, now pay me. But unfortunately, this would not come to the end that I wanted. One day I'm at work and our office gets a phone call. Over the intercom, Zachary Loft, you have a call on line 0. All right, pick up. I pick up line 0. Hello, this is Zachary Loft. How may I help you? And I knew that voice like I knew the whispers of Satan's demons. It was April Tiger, and she wanted to sell her home. But no longer for sale by owner. She wanted to use an agent. Of which I am one. So I very kindly said, April, I'm not interested in working with you. And the conversation ended. And I immediately started thinking, what is the end game of this? If this was a TV show, would that be the jingle? They called me and asked me to list their house? Here's the thing, I know they would never call me to be their agent. I left this part out, but they left a fake review on my page to demean my business. Why would they call me to list their house? There had to be an end game to this. And then I found it. As a for sale by owner, you get called by a lot of realtors because these realtors are like, hey, I may have a buyer for you, but in the meantime, can I list your property? And so realtor after realtor after realtor called Miss April. And a very common question for an agent to ask, why are you looking to sell? And she began to go on a rampage of why Zachary Loft, realtor in Dover, Delaware, is her neighbor. And I'm insane. The insane person is going to be insane! I realize me yelling like that does not help my case, but I am not insane. Most insane people would say the words, I'm not insane. But I'm not. And here's how I shut it down. If you haven't noticed, I'm getting a bit fired up! Now she's going after my business! So I reported their listing, because they truly had no intentions of selling their house. And then it was gone. But that very night, they had something else up their sleeve. But before that, I went over to Denise's house. I said, Denise, I'm really getting to my wit's end. And sweet, lovely Denise calmed me right down. Said, look, Zach, you're clearly in the right in this situation. I have no bias towards either of you. I love you and your wife, and seeing what's going on, April's insane. She has been for a while, and before you even moved there. You've been extremely mature, and a lot of people would have reacted a lot differently at this point. She's done plenty of things that you could have acted out on, and you didn't. I applaud you and Rachel for that. And that calmed me right down. We needed to continue to be the bigger people. But later that week, something happened that made me not want to be the bigger people. Do what you want, but just let me sleep. I thought this was going to be an 80-part series, but we may be able to wrap it up in 60. The listing was down, the sign was gone, but the evil things they did went on and on. Dr. Seuss. They called the police on us! Why, you may ask? Apparently, our camera on our property is looking at their house. Yeah, the exterior camera that we got to protect our property. I told the police officer on the phone it 100% is pointed at their property. He said, okay, well, how far is their home from the property line? I said, give or take about 70 to 80 feet. He said, so your camera cannot see into any private living areas within their house? I said, absolutely not. Would you be willing to email me a screenshot from the camera? Absolutely. And I did. And he gave it the good to go. But that night, they were going to take justice into their own hands. They bought a floodlight, placed said floodlight on their property. And at about 11 p.m. that night, they shined it into our camera. Looking on our little app, it was just a pure white screen. Now, why did they want to block the camera? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this part, and then I'm going to give you guys pictures, videos, screenshots, audio recordings, everything that we have to showcase pretty much everything we've talked about. So you'll get to meet Bob and April Tiger. You'll get to meet Denise, our lovely neighbor. You'll see a younger version of us. And upon request of one commenter from the last video, I'm even going to give you satellite images of the properties so you can kind of imagine what it was really like. I tried to get a picture or video from my phone of when he was cleaning his weapons on the property. It's not very good, but I do have one. But I do have pictures of a lot of the other stuff. And videos, of course. But we're going to finish out this part by telling you why did they want to shine that light in our face? Or our camera. Which, seeing as we were looking at the camera via our phone, it kind of was shining in our face. And I'm going to go in detail on that on part 40. So they were shining a floodlight into our camera. The part that sucked the most is our master bedroom is the closest side of the house to the property line. So the light shined in our room. I believe it woke us up because it was like 11 p.m. And I was like, no. So I called my cop friend, who we just became really close friends with. And he said, yeah, it's against the rules. Yes, the government says illegal. I say against the rules. You've broken the law. And he gets out there and he's like, well, yes and no against the law. I'm like, well, no. He and his partner were like, look, they're being a nuisance. Don't get us wrong. But seeing as the floodlight isn't physically on your property isn't technically against the rule. But it was midnight at this point. They're like, but do you want us to go bang on their door to do a welfare check? You know, because we just want to make sure they're okay. And we were like, yeah, just go make sure they're okay. Wake up. All right, so by request, here is a map of the properties. So we have Denise's house right here. Lovely lady. We have our house right here, shrouded in the trees. Stay away from us. And then we have the mansion of the crazy people right here. Zooming in a little closer, you can see that our property backs to the field. Zooming in even closer, you can see that the only side that we have white privacy fence on is that side. Wonder why? And just so we're clear, the property line is right, like, through here. Like, right there. This is April! Doesn't she look like one of the aliens from Signs? Like, just
Oh my god.
I love Signs. There's the infamous truck that was revving. Here's a picture of the truck in the background. You can clearly see how amused my wife is about that truck being in the background. Have you ever seen this picture of how amused you clearly
No,
look?
I hate it.
Hey, look, I'm April. All right, so you remember those little lawn chairs that we told you about? Now, this is a reasonable place for them to be. You know, it's right next to the property. But they would pretty much sit there and yell at us, so we took a picture for files. Here's where it got weirder when they moved it to the very back of the property, clearly facing our yard. Now, this is right next to the field, and if you go to the video before this, you see how big this property is. There's no reason for those to be there. And again, they would just sit there and yell at our dogs. By the way, when the dogs weren't running through our yard, did I mention that they were tied to a tree with a chain? Dog lovers, what do you think about that one? Here's the lovely family all together. Bob do be kind of thick, though. In this picture, I have when Bob was deciding to drink and clean his weapons. Not that great, but it's here.
Of the yard, revving our engine.
So that was that lady right there who I love, talking about that truck. Look how calm and relaxing this place looks. I loved it there, just not the people. Here's a picture of Bob sitting right here, drinking that beer and putting away the old 12, which in this case was a bolt action rifle. See this window right here? It makes my wife's stomach hurt.
I want to throw up.
Reason being, we installed this fence down here, and we're finally rid of them just sitting and watching us in the backyard. Having a bonfire, playing with the dogs, whatever. They utilized this window to simply sit there and watch us for hours. Remember when they claimed that our fence was built onto their property? Yeah, no. You can see the fence to the right and where our survey from the county said that the property line actually was. And on the next one, we'll go into the fence being cut, Denise right over there, and my wife angrily walking somewhere. No. This is April. It's not actually April, but it's how my mind perceives April. How accurate is this?
I'd rather something else.
So here we can see where the panel of fencing had been cut and taken out. You can see the circular part is where I got some new stuff to go ahead and install more. But if you pause and look closely or even download and zoom in, you can see it's a clean cut all the way down, clearly done with some form of like pliers or cutters or I don't know. Yeah, cutters. Shut up. I sell homes. This is Denise. Denise is absolutely amazing and was beside us the entire time, making sure that we didn't lose our heads. And this is the first time after speaking with the lawyer when he suggested we take a picture when the dog's on the property. There's the old doggo.
Even the
and
dogs
right
were
here,
crazy.
I forgot about that. My wife just brought up something else they did I completely forgot about that's in this picture. This just goes to show how much crazy stuff happened that I forgot this even happened. I had left for work. My wife was going to shortly follow because she worked with me at the time to head to the office. Right after I left, these group of hoodlums walked outside. Now, why was this picture even taken? They were on their property, just chilling with their dog, it looks like. Well, my wife took the picture from her driveway. Why? Because she called me letting me know that all three of them were standing in the middle of the road and not letting her drive by. And their reason? They could. And you can see that he and the dog have stepped out of the road now, but April is still standing in the middle of the road.
I should have just hit her and got it over with.
We're not going to put that on video. But here's me keeping it on video. But yeah, they literally blocked the road so she couldn't leave for no reason. Here's another shot of dogs in the yard. And I can't show what's in this picture because that is going to be for tomorrow. Because we're going to be getting into the final stretch of the neighbors from hell. Haha.